Thomas Friedman wrote a piece in the New York Times today. Well, he didn't write it today. It was published today. And it simply asks the question, will 2020's election be the end of our democracy? And of course, a headline like that one immediately catches my attention because I feel like we have just about an 80-20 chance that it will end our democracy. And that as a result of the chaos that is going to ensue when Trump loses or when he refuses to leave the Oval Office, the attendant violence that's going to erupt is going to make our democratic system be placed on hold. Now, I don't know what's or who is going to place it on hold, but surely it will be. Because Friedman also points out that a free and fair vote or the prospect of a peaceful transfer of power are no longer givens in this country. That was one of the examples of how the American democratic system worked. Regardless of our belligerent foreign policy at times, regardless of our attempts at U.S. imperialism, and all the ill will that we have caused around the planet over the decades, and the goodwill that we have accumulated around the planet, all of that taken together paled beside what was one of the hallmarks of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power from an outgoing administration, regardless of its political points of view or its policies, to an incoming administration, regardless of its political points of view or its policies. That was a hallmark of the American democracy, the peaceful transition of power. I think that's over. I don't think we're going to see that again for some time. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong so many times about so many things. I hope I'm wrong about this. But Friedman writes this. He says, here is a sentence I never in a million years thought that I would ever write or read. To wit, this November, for the first time in our history, the United States of America may not be able to conduct a free and fair election, and should President Trump be defeated by Joe Biden, have a legitimate and peaceful transfer of power. Well, Mr. Friedman, you never thought you would write or read that. I never thought I would read it either. It has been an idea that's been floating around inside my head since the Reagan years, kind of peripherally, and through each administration since Reagan, moving a little bit closer to the center of my political awareness. No, it can't be happening. Well, it's inching closer. No, it can't be happening. No, come on, Malloy. That sort of thing. An argument of internal dialogue that I've had for the past 40 years about whether or not peaceful transitions of power and fair elections could continue, given the rise in this country of the insane Christian right-wing fascists and the militia, insane bully boys with their big bellies and their guns, and then the insanity of Donald Trump with the assistance of Vladimir Putin and Russian military intelligence running this country. And we've allowed it. All of these 3.5 years, we've allowed it. Dear God, that's a question that as long as I am alive, I will wonder why we, the American people, allowed this to go on. Once it became very clear, and I think it became clear during his inauguration speech, or at least the day after, that Trump was a psychopath. And yet we just, okay, well, let's just go about our business. Friedman writes this: because if half the country thinks their votes were not fully counted due to deliberate sabotaging of the U.S. Postal Service by this administration, and if the other half are made to believe by the president that any mail-in vote for Joe Biden was fraudulent, that would not result in just a disputed election, just another Bush v. Gore for the Supreme Court to sort out. That would be the end of American democracy as we know it. It also isn't hyperbole to say it could sow the seeds of another civil war. The threat is real. Now, when I read that this morning, I thought to myself, well, Thomas Friedman, of all people, welcome to what your good buddy Mike Malloy has been saying for years. Another civil war because of this monster. I have, over the years, when I worked in radio, whether it was Air America or WLS or WSB or wherever it was, I've had occasion, like most of us in left-wing radio, to give a talk or a speech or a presentation before an audience of like-minded people and sometimes not so like-minded. And this is something that I have talked about so many times. And over the years, I started to get the feeling that I was nothing more than a loudmouth Cassandra, that none of this was going to happen because, after all, the serious pundits, the ones who worked for the New York Times and the Washington Post and NBC and the LA Times, were totally in disagreement with my little yelpings and screechings from here in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains. Oh, come on, quit with the Nazi comparisons. Oh, come on, quit using the word fascist. Oh, come on, clean up your language. Oh, come on, quit alluding to the fact that there may be a second civil war. Oh, come on, stop it. Mr. Stir 'em up and get 'em running, Malloy. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. And I am trying my damnedest not to come across like a, see, I told you. But how could anyone miss what was happening? When Thomas Friedman on August 18th, 2020, dateline, writes, the threat is real. And when he writes, it also isn't hyperbole to say it could sow the seeds of another civil war, what's going to happen on November 3rd. Why is he saying that now? Why not 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, 4 years ago? Why now? Why did it take people like Thomas Friedman so goddamn long to wake up and smell the fascism? Deep breath. Oh, my goodness. I do get riled up, don't I? Or as we say here in the South, I sure do get het up. Anyway, Friedman has a very interesting sentence, this next one. And I've got to read it because it's almost poetic. Here's what he writes after the threat is real. So, personally, I will walk, I will jog, I will skip, I will crawl, I will slither, I will bike, I will hike, I will hitchhike, I will drive, I will ride, I will run, I will fly, I will roll, I will be rolled, I will be carried, I will trek, I will train, I will trot, I will truck, I will strut, I will float, I will boat, I will ramble, I will amble, I will march, I will bus, I will taxi, I will Uber, Lyft, scooter, skateboard, or motorcycle, and I will wear a mask, a face shield, gloves, goggles, a hazmat suit, a space suit, or a wetsuit, but I damn well will get to my neighborhood polling station to see that my vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is cast and counted on November 3rd. You got to stop and pant after that one. That's quite a sentence there, Thomas. However, there's one part of your sentence, Thomas Friedman, that I have an issue with, and that's the last part. And that is, quoting you, that my vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is cast and counted on November 3rd. Yes, it'll be cast. Oh, hell yes, it'll be cast. Tell you what you can do, Thomas Friedman. Come to Georgia. Come to my precinct. I live in the, where am I now? The 4th Congressional District. 5th? 4th, I guess. I know what it is. I just can't think of it right now. I live in the 4th Congressional District of Georgia. We have machines. And when we vote, the machine will hand us a receipt that shows how, or for whom we voted. And then as we leave the precinct, we have to turn the receipt in to the poll worker. We don't get to keep it. I mean, that would be too much of a system by which the votes could be counted at some later date. Because if everybody has a receipt and there is question, because the vote totals, when they're counted, don't equal or even come close to what the exit polls were showing, well, then we could all get together and take our receipts to counting booths and have them counted. But no, not here. The idea of printing off a receipt for the dumbasses, of which I am one, that was supposed to mollify us. Okay, you're bitching about the machines. Okay, here's a little receipt for you. Happy now? Would you like a cookie? Here's your cookie. Getting the votes counted, Mr. Friedman, is a sterling idea. As a matter of fact, it is the whole reason for casting a vote to begin with. Right? So that it will be counted and counted properly. And there is no longer a guarantee of that. I don't give a damn what precinct you cast your vote in. I don't care what congressional district you live in. It is now a question as to whether or not the vote you cast will be counted as you cast it. That's where we are. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.